Thank you for joining me. I'm Scott Ryan. Well, today's news, yet another interesting development. A pastor by the name of Robert Jeffress, or Jeffers, not sure how it's pronounced, but he is pastor of a Dallas megachurch. He was a former Rick Santorum supporter, and he's admitted that Mormonism is a cult. And the difference, yet he has endorsed Mitt Romney. And I find that interesting because part of the opening of the column addressed the fact that when he spoke during a recent convention before Santorum dropped out, he was attacked after speaking to this audience, calling Mitt Romney a cultist, essentially, and thereby endorsing Santorum. And he was attacked by Americans United for Separation of Church and State or some other organization. And it's a specious allegation, and I've received it from conservatives, or so I should say pseudo-conservatives, let's say rhino Republicans, in various places where I've debated Romney supporters. They always bring up that separation, which we know is deception. It's clearly an out-of-context statement from Thomas Jefferson, but it's not even applicable in the situation where we were in a primary and a pastor who's supposed to be a Christian, whose first priority should be the souls of those who listen to him and those in his congregation, I would say that over the state, and he has an obligation to speak truth and expose false doctrines. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with imposing a quote-unquote religious test when you are in a Republican primary and the people who are listening to you and the people you are advising are Christians. There is nothing wrong with saying that Christians should be supporting Christians who run for office. That's not the same thing as the government making a requirement that you be a certain religion. I mean, what's being used here is very similar to what the liberals commonly use to dismantle our nation and everything that we hold sacred. But apparently, with this Mr. Jeffress, despite the fact that there is a Christian still in this race, in Newt Gingrich, who is a sinner like all of us and has repented of his sins, apparently it's more important to Mr. Jeffress or Jeffers that people vote for a cultist for some reason. I mean, I could see if this was the general election and there were no other choice, but there's a very strange conflict of interest taking place here, and I think we're starting to see the true colors of many people that we never would have otherwise if we were not in this situation. It's frustrating because we're talking about nominating, and this pastor or encouraging Christians to nominate somebody who believes things that are antithetical to the beliefs of the founding fathers, such as basic things like there's only one God and we are not him. Mitt Romney believes he can become a god. He might think he's already there for all we know, but the amount of deception that will be legitimized by Mitt Romney procuring this White House is substantial. The whole world will look at Mormonism, this abomination, as being credible. And it's okay for people to believe what they want to believe. I have no problem with any religion in the people believing what they want to believe. I mean, you can't make somebody be a Christian. That's contrary to the whole point of Christianity. Jesus stands at the door and knocks. You have to let him in. You can't force Christianity on anyone. But where I have problems are when a cult comes in and claims to be Christian. They're not just claiming to be Christian. They're not just trying to make us accept them. What it is in reality, if you look at Joseph Smith and Brigham Young and all their founders, they taught from the beginning that we are the ones that are heretics. They are the only ones who are the true Christians. And what they define as Christian is actually has a lot more in common with pagan polytheism than anything that you or I can conceive. So don't come to me and don't come to the nation and tell us that you're a Christian, vote for me. That is fraud. That is the kind of situation that the Apostle Paul warned us about, and Jesus warned about. Many would come in my name, but they're savage wolves. They're claiming I am he, or preaching another gospel in his name. When Paul said, if an angel from heaven comes to you and teaches something different than what we have set forth here, count them accursed. Well, that's the whole fundamental foundation of Mormonism. Joseph Smith, the convicted occultist, he was indicted and convicted of fortune teller. He was a charlatan. He actually said that an angel, Moroni, who was actually, if he was real at all, was a demon, gave him this new gospel, and the rest of us are in apostasy. The whole scriptures have been perverted. We're all damned to hell except for him, because he got this special revelation. So Mr. Jeffress, whatever, whoever you are, I think you better think about the eternal ramifications of what you are doing by giving credence to somebody who can influence billions of people from this time forth by your actions. I think you better think of your obligation as a pastor before you start thinking about what it's going to take to beat Barack Obama. Do you really think that God is limited, that he needs you to help, that we need to, is God's will to nominate a deceiver, to knowingly nominate somebody who teaches things that are an abomination before his own word? It's God's will that we do this because he's incapable of delivering this nation. It's no different than the children of Israel building altars to Molech or sacrificing babies to false gods during their time of apostasy. If anything, I think that by doing what we're doing, as it apparently is happening, we are endangering ourselves further of being sent into captivity. Thank you for joining me. I'm Scott Ryan.